Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I also want to compliment you on this bill. I read it through this morning. It's an extremely focused and I think excellent approach to the challenges we face in our forests. To that end, I'm curious about how much progress the Forest Service has actually made over the past, let's say 5 years in trying to reduce the danger of wildfire. Can you share with us what you think the progress has actually been on perhaps a percentage basis? Because you have millions of acres you're dealing with. Can you share with us how many thousands of acres the Forest Service has successfully reduced the level of fuel upon?
Yeah, so I think there's actually two ways to look at this. Last year we reduced wildland fire risk on, I think, 4.3, somewhere right in there, million acres, which was a significant increase from where we were the year before.
And how many total acres are you dealing with in millions?
How many total, say that again?
How many total acres does the Forest Service manage?
There's 193 million acres.
Right, and how many did you take care of?
Last year, I think it was let me give you the exact number. I think it was 4.3 million acres.
So there's a ways to go.
4.35.
You got a ways to go.
We do.
Let's hop to the amount that wildland firefighters are paid. I had some contractors come in 2 weeks ago, I think, 3 maybe, from Oregon that contract with Forest Service and the BLM, and they had been told that they had to increase the pay of those that they hire when they're doing these kinds of contracts by something like $9 an hour, taking up the pay to around $35. Does that ring true to you?
I'm not aware of that, but I can get back with you.
So it is true, and the amount that's being paid now is somewhere in that mid $30 per hour range. Now, I have actually fought fire, and frankly, $35 an hour is I'm not sure I'd want to fight for $35 an hour, but the truth of it is that's a pretty good wage. And so are you aware of people being paid more than that to fight fire? $35 an hour?
Okay, so I also fought fire for the Forest Service. I am aware of other state agencies that are paying more, and I don't know what contractors are paying.
I don't think the Forest Service had much to do with the establishment of these rates. I think it was somebody else, and we'll probably hear about that later. But that amount, that dramatic of an increase in that which has to be paid to those who are hired to try to help us makes it extremely difficult for many of these companies to stay in business because it was done abruptly, and the amount that was of the increase was around 20%, maybe even 25 or 30% of what was normal. And I'll just point that out because it's going to be difficult for many of them to stay in business.
Okay.
And they are absolutely essential, these independent contracting groups, to controlling fire in and across the United States. They're absolutely essential. So you might want to look into that, and we better be talking to whoever's in charge of raising these rates, and I had it in my notes, but it's the office of somebody, and you might want to reach out and say, what are you doing? You're putting the nation at risk because these companies can't afford it. And so, I mean, that's just the way it is. Let me hop to NEPA for a moment and the lawsuits. Are you aware of lawsuits that have delayed, are you aware of lawsuits that have delayed the Forest Service in trying to take care of dangerous situations, fire related?
Am I aware of did you say ESA?
Sure, under the NEPA.
Delaying when we're actually suppressing fires?
No, in anticipation of cleaning up the forest so you could perhaps not have as many fires to fight.
Okay, yes, so we have to consult with ESA and on ESA with 2 agencies. And I would say historically we've had projects that have been delayed in the last year or so. We've been working very collaboratively.
But let me I'm going to run out of time here. What I'm getting at, there's a provision in this bill, and it's an excellent one, that's doing its best to try to head off that kind of litigation so that you can do your job and try to protect people in cities and towns. Are you being prevented from doing that by virtue of litigation?
Or virtue of litigation?
Yeah, or the threat of lawsuits.
litigation, for me, as overseeing and doing this work, litigation is a part of just our work. And I anticipate that in our timeframes and our costs.
Thank you. Yield back.